Death penalty shouldn't exist first because it is against human rights. The human rights says that everyone has the right to live, liberty and security of person, that no one shall be subject to torture or to cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. But what does the Declaration of Human Rights say about death penalty? Well, they say that everybody has a fundamental right to live. This is stated in the Article 3 of the Declaration of Human Rights, and even though it must be clear enough for everybody to understand, it is not even one only article in the Declaration of Human Rights that speaks against death penalty. Also, death penalty shouldn't exist because innocent people can be wrongly executed. Over 1,000 people have been executed, but can someone prove that they were all guilty? Many cases are studied nowadays, and in some cases there are strong evidence to prove that some people were killed being innocent. We have some samples. Carlos de Luna, Texas, executed 1989. Ruben Cantu, Texas, executed 1993. Larry Griffin, executed 1995. Joseph Odell, Virginia, executed 1997. David Spence, Texas, executed 1997. Leo Jones, Florida, executed 1998. Gary Graham, Texas, executed 20. Cameron Wilhelm, executed 2004, Texas. So, why should we punish by killing if we can kill by accident an innocent person?
Another important reason to be against death penalty is that this action is not a deterrent, since crime rates have not gone down. This means that with this decision, countries as the USA have not reduced their crimes because of killing the worst criminals. In fact, they are increasing 5 or 6 times. For example, in the USA, crime rates are 5 times higher than in Britain, which is a country that doesn't have death penalty, and 5 times more than Australia, which also doesn't have death penalty. So, if the countries are looking for reduce your crimes, this is not the way to do it. The statistics say it. Another really important reason to be against death penalty is that death penalty sentences are not handed down arbitrarily, not in a fair manner, and not with experienced lawyers. That means that the justice systems which permit death penalty are not fair when deciding which criminals are going to be executed. Many countries agree that this is not the way because almost in almost every case of death penalty, the person doesn't have the right to be heard or he doesn't have the right to have a good lawyer which can defend him on the court. So he or she doesn't have the chance to be heard and to avoid this decision. So what we can say is that this is a case that is not being treated as it must be treated. So these two reasons are really important to avoid the death penalty in the justice systems of the world.
The death penalty costs a lot. Using conservative rough projections, the California Commission on the Fair Administration of Justice estimates the annual costs of the present death penalty system to be $137 million per year. The cost of the present system, with reforms recommended by the Commission to ensure a fair process, would be $232.7 million per year. The cost of a system in which the number of death-eligible crimes was significantly narrowed would be $130 million per year. The cost of a system which imposes a maximum penalty of lifetime incarceration instead of the death penalty would be $11.5 million per year. The numbers talk for themselves. It is far cheaper to use other punishments than to do executions. Death penalty is very expensive to use, thus it should not exist. Most developed countries do not have the death penalty. Singapore, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and the US are the only developed countries that have retained the death penalty. And Japan, South Korea, and the US are the only established democracies in the world that still conduct executions. All the other developed countries do not have the death penalty. Also, not all of the states in the US have the capital punishment. Only 58 out of more than 200 countries in the world still have the death penalty. This shows that the death penalty is something that development and civilization reject. Why should it continue being a part of this modern world? Consequently, the death penalty should not exist.